Welcome to Conversations Live. For more than a decade, we've brought you the best in books, entertainment, celebrity interviews, and current events. When the movers and shakers of the world have something to say to you, they say it to us first. Here's your host, Cyrus Webb.
Welcome back, everyone, to Conversations Live. I'm your host, Cyrus Webb. Glad you all could join us once again. But for our radio audience here in Mississippi at WYAD 94.1 FM and WYADonline.com, we're glad that you all could be with us. Also, tuning in to our friends at iHeartRadio and Amazon Music Podcasts. We're glad you all could be with us as well. But when it comes to being able to do work that you love, our next guest definitely knows that feeling and the impact that can have on others. We're excited to welcome Robert John Connor to our program today. Mr. Connor is someone who spent decades in the arts. You know him as an actor, a writer, singer, and producer. We're going to talk to him not only about his extraordinary career, but also he also is the founder of Dominion Entertainment Group, and they're gearing up for a production beginning in August called Chicken and Biscuits. We're going to let you guys know where you can find out more information about that as well. Mr. Connor, thank you so much for the time. Really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you much. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to talk about a lot of things today.
Well, look, you have definitely given us a lot of things to talk about, Mr. Connor. I want to talk about this career for you, and I want to give a shout-out to our friend Lisa G. for setting up this chat with us for today, because when she first told me about your work, I think so many people, we talk about what we want to do. You've been able to live the life that you wanted for yourself in the arts, Mr. Connor. What has that experience been like for you to kind of look at that career you've had and the road that has kind of led you to where you are today?
You know, it's so funny that you asked that, because when I started in the entertainment and arts pathway, I just was a young kid from Pittsburgh who loved music and arts and creativity, and thank goodness my parents had the wherewithal to kind of make sure that I had a gateway to express myself creatively. You know, initially I imagined I was going to be a singer, and I still am. But what I didn't realize is how my platform would expand to this juncture of my life and career, where I'm not only able to, be a participant and be a creative, and I'm able to now produce and create platforms for others, writers and choreographers and lighting designers. No, I didn't see that as a, say, 13-year-old boy who just loved the arts and found his niche in the performing arts. But I'm glad that I've had a lot of life experiences through education and through inspiration that kind of guided me to this place right now. It's very fulfilling to look back over my life now and see, reflect on all of the experiences I've had on stage, behind the scenes, and go, wow, I've had a great run, and there's so much more to do.
Right. You mentioned your parents, and I think, for all of us, there's someone who we can kind of point to, Mr. Connor, who kind of was that motivating force for us. Were they also the ones who helped you not to put limitations on yourself? And I ask you that question because as I kind of run down just some of how people have gotten to know you, there are some people, as you know, will tell you, I remember growing up myself, people say, you know what, you need to take one thing and focus on that one thing. Do you think it began at home for you that you kind of felt free to be able to try whatever it is you want to try?
Well, I grew up in the traditional middle-class African-American household. My father, he was a worker. So he worked a white-collar job and understood that part of it, the business side of it, where my mother was the one who kind of pushed us, the kids, to go to opera and go to jazz concerts and just kind of expose that artistic side. So I think the balance came in where when it comes now to me being a producer and having production companies, is the balance of having an appreciation for the arts and creativity, but also understanding the business side of it. So I think I had kind of the best of both worlds. I won't pretend my father was not necessarily a connoisseur of the arts because he was a practical person. He was pragmatic in that way. However, what I now, as an adult producing agent, a lot of the business ideology that was communicated through him really play a big part in how I run my company now.
I think anyone who's in the arts, Mr. Connor, knows that, there is definitely risk involved in it. What made it worth the risk for you as you kind of think about how this all began for you? What was it about this world, the world of the arts, that made you say, you know what, I'm willing to take the chance, I'm willing for the risk?
That's a wonderful question, because a lot of times we are dissuaded and discouraged from pursuing our ambition. And I'm going to couch that with, what we desire to do comes with the responsibility of being educated, trained, and fully immerse ourselves to become skilled in the things that we do. But if you're doing all of that work and you're developing, there's so many things out there where they'll say, you shouldn't do it. Oh, don't try. Oh, failure is imminent. Yeah, really, in all things, failure is imminent. In the performing arts, it's often hard for people to support people who pursue the arts because they don't connect it to a real thing. It's some magical thing to them. But for me, the thing, I started my company literally with a $510 donation that I received. And I did a GoFundMe years ago and thought that because I had lots of friends that I was going to get a nice seed start. And I was very discouraged. And I remember going to church, and this is not necessarily a religious response, but there was the message was about the fear of failure and why would you not pursue your dreams and when you know that's what you're called to do. That's you know this is what you want, and you're looking at what the income is, and you're saying, well, that's going to be the outcome. And so it's all about taking a risk, educated risks. And I just took a leap and said, okay, I'm going to take this little bit of seed money, and I'm going to try to figure out how to create a production company that provides arts entertainment for the community at large. And I don't think if I had taken that step, that I would be 10 years later in the black company producing shows. And so you just have to forego the fear of failure, because you will fail. Businesses fail. They say that some of the greatest business people have failed a minimum of 10 times before their business ideas kind of actualized into something substantial. And if you are afraid to fail, then you are going to be in trouble with anything you pursue, be it arts and entertainment or business or whatever that is. So I hope that answered your question.
Yeah, it did. It did. And it prompts this question then, Mr. Connor, because as you have been able to do just that, as you've been able to go out and take the risk, take the chance, and see the benefit, you've been able to show other people by example what's possible for them. And that's going to be a great segue, I think, for us as we talk about Dominion Entertainment Group. But what has that experience been like for you, to have people who have seen your path, have people been inspired by your path, to tell you what it meant for them in pursuing their own goals and dreams?
Oftentimes I'm very unaware about the impact of my doings, my comings, my goings, my thoughts, my ideas, the things that I share on other people. I just know I know what's placed on my heart and spirit at the time, but I'm too often reminded about the inspiration that I brought to young people. I just had the great fortune of watching one of my former students win the Tony Award for Best Actress in a Musical. And to know that I saw that young brown girl in a classroom that said, I want to do this, and this is all I want to do, and to see that trajectory, it always reminds me that when you live in your purpose, when you inspire other people to live in their purpose, when you live authentically what you feel like you are desiring to do, you do that well, or you do that with great passion, it will create a domino, a ripple effect on the people we're required to inspire. You know, we have to inspire people as we go on our daily walk and journey.
I think that's a great reminder for all of us. I want to say for those who are just tuning in, either on the radio side or online, you're listening to Conversations Live. We're excited to welcome Robert Giancana to our program today. You guys know him for his many years in the arts. You know him as an actor, a writer, director, singer, producer, an individual who's definitely been able to make his mark on the entertainment industry and provide avenues for others, especially through Dominion Entertainment Group. We're about to talk about that and the production it has that's coming up soon, Chicken and Biscuits. Before we get into to Dominion, I want to ask you, Mr. Connor, about something that I think is important for our audience, and that is fear. And I want to ask you kind of about this in two different parts, because I think for so many people out there are so many opportunities here now, right? In 2022, there's so many things that people can do. Unfortunately, though, they allow the fear of what people may think to stop them, or the fear of what if it doesn't work out. What do you think helped you not to be stopped by fear? Because, you know, at the time that you were able to really be able to make your mark, a lot of the things that we now take for granted today were not available then. But what made you say, you know what, I'm not going to let the fear of what others say or even what I say to myself stop me?
You know, fear, everybody who takes a risk is fearful. You know, it would be a lie if anyone says, oh, well, I just, you know, took a leap of faith. Yeah, you took a leap of faith, but before you took that leap, you considered all of the failure options, right? Mm-hmm. But I think fear is healthy. It's what you do with the fear. You can either let that fear be the fire that ignites you to take a choice, to make a choice, or you can use that fear to debilitate you. And for me, I just wasn't willing to give up on what my ambitions and dreams were for the sake of fear. I had to put fear in context because, you know, fear sometimes are those unctions in your mind and your body to say, oh, you know, they kind of guide you. So fear is healthy. You can use it. You just can't allow it to use you, you know. And so my ambition and my desires and the things that are my passions are much bigger than anything that I'm afraid of. They are. They're just, you know, it's about the joy that you get doing the things that you love. And there should be, I cannot lend that to fear to dismantle what my dreams are. And so, again, it's about what you do with fear. It's managing your fear, acknowledging that you're afraid, and then utilizing that fear to guide you in ways to make wise decisions. You know, fear is also a good thing to have because then it makes you not be frivolous, you know, and make unguided decisions. So if you know how to use fear to your advantage, it will also help you make better decisions as opposed to people who are fearless. You know, there's a lot of people who are fearless that have jumped off of places and unfortunately they're no longer here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So a healthy dose of fear can always be a great guide to, as long as you don't let it manage you and you can manage it.
So true. The other aspect of fear I want to ask you about that I think our audience will appreciate is, I mean, the fear of other people succeeding. And I think I bring that up because of what you've been able to do in your career, Mr. Connor, but also in what you've been able to build, because you definitely are not afraid of other people's success. What helped you in that arena to provide opportunities instead of feeling as though there weren't enough opportunities for everyone?
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, there's a part of me that, you know, is genuinely ecstatic when I see people win. I've always been taught and have lived by the mindset, it's only crowded at the bottom. There's plenty of room at the top. I don't think one man's success is an indication of my failure, because I feel what is for me is for me. What has been placed on me is for me. And so I see the world as this big, huge place. I don't see it as, oh, well, Johnny just booked this or booked this. And also, I'm so myopic about the things that I aspire to do that I don't often look to the left or to the right to kind of gauge my success on someone else's. And, you should celebrate other people's successes because that positive energy in the universe is cyclical. It's like a boomerang. When you celebrate others' success, that celebration comes right back to you. I think the more positive energy that you put out there, it is for you because what you're going to do is receive that energy back. And so I've never really belabored someone else's success because I think we all have the potential to win. Just look at so many people in this world that they're doing so many great things. That's because their opportunities are boundless. They're boundless.
Exactly. Totally agree. And that definitely brings us into what you've been able to do with Dominion Entertainment Group. So talk to us about that. What is it that made you want to create your own arts and entertainment organization?
It really started with a conversation about 12 years ago. I have a lot of friends that are in the arts and entertainment industry, and we have lunches and dinners, and we celebrate each other. And so I think we were having a kind of a dinner gathering, and we were just kind of philosophizing on the entertainment industry and opportunities, especially for people of color. And I am just not a type of person that likes to talk about things for a long time. I like to, if I see, we've discussed an issue or matter and there might be a strategy or solution to achieve the goal that we're trying to achieve, then I want to do that. I want to spend my brain on that. So out of that conversation, I said, well, maybe I need to create a production company, and it was just, it was a whim. And because I felt like that I had accumulated enough wherewithal, enough education. I've worked in television, I've worked on stage, I've worked on film, I've done, a variety of things. So I had the knowledge, and the only thing I didn't have the resources, but I figured, okay, well, let's come up with a plan, And so that was the motivation to, let's not talk about it. Let's just be about it. Because we can sit around and complain about what's not right in the world, but the question is, what are you doing to right what is not right? What part are you playing? What brick are you adding to the tapestry? And so, that's a lot. That mindset comes from my father, God rest his soul. But he was a person that was about doing something. And so, a little over 10 years ago, I started, getting the business plan together and getting the business name, and lo and behold, it took. And what was important was I felt like audiences want quality entertainment, whatever it is. If it's theater, if it's dance, if it's film, if it's television, if it's radio, whatever it is, there is a standard of quality. And so I just made sure that whatever I did, big or small, that it had a certain level of quality. And after a while, audiences began to know that if it was Dominion Entertainment Group, that it was going to be a good show. There was going to be great music. There was going to be, great performers, the costuming, and because I am so meticulous about those things to a fault, I felt like if we didn't establish ourselves as the curator of quality entertainment in Atlanta, we're just throwing sand in the wind. Right. And so eventually audiences began to know, hey, well, this production company, they're new, but man, I went to see a show and it was fantastic. And so here we are. Yeah. So that was the genesis of it.
And I tell you, so many great things in there, Mr. Connor, that I think we can learn from. But I think the main thing is when you see a need, the importance of doing your part to fill that need, because you never know where it's going to lead. And one of the things that Dominion is preparing for now is the Atlanta premiere of Chicken and Biscuits. I mentioned that. That is something that's going to be coming up beginning on August the 18th. Talk to us about that production and what you hope audiences take away from it.
Okay, so really quick, I was introduced to that production on Broadway. One of my former students, because I am also an educator and I teach acting. I do a lot of crazy things. But anyway, one of my former students landed his first Broadway role in this play, Chicken and Biscuits. And when I first heard of the title, I was like, "What the world? Chicken and Biscuits on Broadway? What kind of play is this? What is this?" And but of course, I was going to go see him. His name is Devere Rogers, a phenomenal actor. So my wife and I, we went to New York and saw the play, even with the title a little like, okay, I'm not sure what this is going to be, but I'm going to support Devere, right? And audiences are probably wondering, like, oh, what kind of play is this, Chicken and Biscuits, because theater people can be a little snobby. So anyway, we went to see Chicken and Biscuits on Broadway, and I laughed out loud. I cried. I was thoroughly entertained by this kind of amalgamation of humor and stories of family and function and dysfunction and secrets, and just how this writer, Douglas Lyons, was able to kind of capture, a part of who we are, and as a people. And so I immediately approached him and said, "Hey, I want this show," and he said, of course, Broadway shows are hard to get because if it just landed on Broadway, it goes to a gauntlet of other producing agents that probably have a lot more history and a lot more financial bandwidth. And so I began the process of negotiating to get title. And because it's for a production company of my size and my age, typically you don't get first dibs on a Broadway production to do a premiere. But lo and behold, the writer was very adamant about that he wanted to put this in the hands of an African-American production company that was willing to really honor the work in the way that it was written. And so we've talked, and here we are. We have Chicken and Biscuits coming up in about 30 days, and the cast is amazing. And so I couldn't be more excited about having the opportunity to produce this show.
Well, they give their audience something to look forward to add to their summer for sure. Again, everyone, Chicken and Biscuits coming to Atlanta, making its premiere there, again, beginning August 18th. Mr. Connor, I have to say, really appreciate you stopping by the program today. Appreciate the time and all the great work you've been able to do and the people you've impacted. How can our audience stay connected with you and find out more information about Chicken and Biscuits?
Okay, yeah, I'm on Instagram. I am Robert John Connor. My company's web address is dominionent.org. That's short for entertainment, dominionent.org. And you can be abreast of some of our upcoming productions. We are very well known for doing an annual Christmas show called The Black Nativity that happens every winter season. That is hard to get tickets to. It's very popular. So I just encourage people to continue to support community businesses, continue to support businesses that are run by people of color, and continue to support the arts, because everything you see on TV, everything you see in a film, everything you hear on the radio started with some kid in some classroom with a teacher who told them that they could be better if they tried this. So as long as we realize that the genesis of all great art and music and theater and film starts with some kid and some teacher, it is important that you continue to pour back into the community and to keep cultivating those gems that we have in our community.
And I think that is the big thing there, Mr. Connor, that all of us can be a part of. Again, really appreciate you and all the great work you're doing. Again, everyone, for those who may have came in a little bit late, you all are listening to Conversations Live. We're excited about today's guest who's joined us, Mr. Robert John Connor. We've been talking with him again about his extraordinary career, but also the work that his entertainment organization is doing, Dominion Entertainment Group, and the upcoming production of Chicken and Biscuits beginning on August the 18th. Mr. Connor, again, congratulations to you, and thank you so much for dropping by. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for having me, and you have a blessed day.
Yeah, you as well. And we thank your audience for tuning in to another great segment of Conversations Live. Until next time, I'm your host, Cyrus Webb, saying as always, enjoy your day, enjoy your life, enjoy your world. Thank you all for choosing Conversations Live. Now let's go make today amazing. Take care.